the Barely Watched podcast featuring Lester Wiltfong. Lester, how you feeling today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a nice, chill, relaxing Saturday over here, so it's all good.
Here we are, 2 weekends in a row with no Bears football. How does that make you
I
feel?
know. It's all good. It's a big primetime matchup this week, man. I mean, this game could really set the Bears up on a nice path here if they get a dub in DC.
Yes, sir. Obviously, a lot of fans know that the Bears lost to the Commanders last year on that Hail Mary where Tariq Stevenson found himself taunting the fans while the play had just started. Lester, tell us a little bit about what to expect going into this, emotions, tensions, whatever the case may be.
Man, the emotions are gonna be pretty high. I mean, a lot of players obviously were in Chicago last year. They're still in Chicago, even though it's a new coaching regime. But also look at Ben Johnson, right? Like, how did his season end last year? They lost with the Lions coaching
Mhm.
staff. The Commanders knocked them out of the playoffs. So I'm sure there's a little something there where they want to get a little something back at Washington. So they're not going to play it up like this is our revenge, but I'm sure the emotions will be high. And of course, Tyreek Stevenson, you mentioned, he just had that game really sent his season on a downward spiral. I mean, him
Mhm.
and the Bears, right? But this year, man, Stevenson's have been playing pretty good football. So I think he learned from that, and he's able to grow from that. And I think he's in line for a big game this Monday night.
Now, did you see Tariq Stevenson sit down with Kevin Byard on his podcast, and he was reliving the traumatic experience and things of that nature?
I saw a couple clips. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing yet, but yeah, I mean, he's aware of it, right? I mean, this is a thing where, I mean, so far this has really defined his career. I mean, he's the
Mhm.
guy that was, like you said, he was taunting the fans. He was the guy that was supposed to be in there and make that play. So, that game has been the defining moment of his short career. So he needs a chance to kind of put that behind him and move forward and play some good football.
Now, Lester, put yourself in a position of Tariq's coach, mentor. What are some things that you're saying to him leading up to that game Monday night?
Yeah, like I said, this has defined his career so far, but he can't let it happen. I mean, he can't let that be who he is. So
Mhm.
I'm sure his coaches are all telling him to kind of look, put that out of your mind, play your game, play football, be physical. Look, the last two games he's played, he's looked really good, right?
Mhm.
Interceptions, forced fumbles, big, really being physical in the run game. So his coaches are going to say, look, just play your game, play how you've been playing. Don't worry about the crowd because the crowd's going to be go at him, right? I mean, they're going to be all over him from the get. So, just play your game and play Bears football.
Of course, of course. With Jaden Daniels, him making his debut back last week from injury, what are some things that the Bears need to do to remind him, hey, it takes time to heal and get back fully to 100%?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't run as much as I think he wanted to last week. He's it's not a good injury he's coming back from, right? I mean, he was knocked out a little bit with the knee, so I think they're going to want to have him, play more from the pocket. The Commanders are, and look, the Bears want to test him, right? They want to see if he can move as good as he can, and so it's old school football, but they're going to want to hit him when they can too, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's we just did a rewatch of the '85 Bears. I'm not saying go out there and hit like that because those guys will get fined these days, but you got to test him. You got to be physical. You got to hit him. You got to play within the rules. You got to play within the whistle. If he's a runner, you got to get after him. If he doesn't slide, you got to make him pay. And I think that's what the Bears have to do.
Of course. How is it that we can scheme our guys to get to the quarterback? Because for so far this season, we have not done such a great job of getting to the quarterback.
I don't know, man. I think getting Kyler Gordon back is going to help. Um, you know, all preseason or in all training camp, Dennis Allen talked about how he's going to be a guy they move all around that defense. Yeah,
Hmm.
he's your starting nickel back, but they also cross train him at safety. He has played outside corner in the past. The Commanders have some injuries to receiver themselves, so they may use Kyler Gordon, kind of find a nice mismatch that they like, and try and
Hmm.
exploit that. And plus, he's a pretty good blitzer. As
Yeah,
from that nickel spot, that's something he did quite well under Flus. One of the few things Flus did was blitz the nickel. So I think that's something Dennis Allen will kind of do as well this week as well, and try and get after the quarterback any means necessary.
now you took one of my key talking points away without
Yeah,
me getting to
because
it.
because we're in
Obviously,
synergy here, man. We got it. Yeah,
we see that we have Spider Kyler man back.
yeah.
How does that bolster the defense that has been with injury to that secondary?
The secondary's been decimated, right? Gordon's been out all year. Jalen Johnson's only played a handful of snaps before he went out again. He's out on IR now.
Terrell
Um,
Smith's been out.
Terrell Smith. So you have Nashawn Wright, Nick McLeod. For some reason Josh Blackwell hasn't had a chance to get any reps in nickel, but you know I think part of the reason why they can't get after the quarterback, they can't, be creative up front is because, he doesn't want to put his back end in and, expose them by blitzing too much. So I think he has to
Mhm.
kind of like play things safe, but getting Gordon back, maybe TJ Edwards, the injury report has not come out yet. Here we are on Saturday. We're still waiting for that report to come out for the final game. So, once we know who all is going to play back there, I think we'll have a better idea. But just Gordon getting him back, which seemed like it's going to happen, that's going to help Dennis Allen be a little more creative.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I could have swore I saw a report this week when one of the days of practice, TJ Edwards was full participation.
It's possible. Like I said, today's report will be the one, right? If,
Hmm.
if he's full go today, if he's off the report today, it's good to go. But look, it's a hamstring injury. Those things sometimes linger. They sometimes pop back up when you think you're good to go. That's what happened to Kyler Gordon, right? Everyone thought he was going to be fine, and
Hmm.
then something happened where it just didn't feel right, so they had to shut him down for another couple of weeks. So I hope he's back there. Look, Noah Sewell's been pretty good in his absence,
Yes, sir.
but look, I think if you get your starter back out there, Sewell kind of slides into the Sam role. You
Hmm.
know, play a little bit when he needed to in there. I think it's going to be better. Look, you want to have all your guys right when you're going up against a top team like the Commanders. And
Hmm.
look, they may not have the same record as last year. I think they're 3-2. They have looked quite as good, but like you said, Daniels has been out. They've had a pretty tough schedule, but that's still a pretty good football team. So you want to have all your guys ready to go for that.
Of course, of course. Now, taking it back to Kyler Gordon, do you think he's kind of licking his chops, seeing the injury report that Terry McLaurin will not play?
Yeah, they're going to miss McLaurin. I think Brown's also going to be out for them.
Nuh-uh. What?
Debo Samuel, I think, is he's been injured, so we'll see kind of how he's playing there. But I think look with Debo, I think he'll play. He's a gamer. Yeah,
Hmm.
again, the Commanders haven't issued their official report yet. Once they do, of course, I'll share it at Windy City Gridiron. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, they have a pretty good, like even without those receivers, that's the number one running team in the NFL. The Commanders are
Hmm.
so that's what they want to do. They want to run the ball and then run the ball and then run the ball some more. And the Bears' biggest weakness, they can't stop the run for nothing.
Right.
So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's playing into their hands. So I mean, look, the Bears coming off a bye, they have to figure out, what went wrong those first 4 weeks, why they can't stop the run. Our guys not in the right gap. It's a little different scheme than Flus. Flus is all more one gap stuff, penetrate, really control your area. Whereas Dennis Allen, sometimes guys are two gapping it, sometimes they're going gap and a half. So it's like one of these things where they just have to kind of get used to what they're doing. And
Hmm.
look, we always talk about how the offense takes time to gel. Same with the defense. It's a new scheme. The bye came at a good time for both coaches to kind of reevaluate and self scout what they had and what's going wrong there. So I think the bye came at a great time. So fingers crossed. Coming out of the bye, that both sides of the ball should be playing their best football.
Of course, of course. Now, taking it to that offensive side of the ball, I thought I saw a report, correct me if I'm wrong, that Theo Benedict will go ahead and get the start at left tackle.
Yeah, that's been rumored for a while now, but I think earlier today Ben Johnson kind of made that official. So yeah,
Hmm.
Theo Benedet is going to be the starting left tackle. Last year he missed part of the season early on the practice squad all year. Had a nice camp, put himself in the mix to start at left tackle. He was one of those guys there, and look, Braxton Jones just didn't make it back from that injury.
Hmm.
He just doesn't look like the same guy. He's never, Braxton Jones is a solid football player, right? I mean, I know Bears fans want to clown him and oh, he can't stop the bull rush. But look, from a fifth round draft pick, his numbers are pretty good as far as the grades go out there. He's got a lot of experience, and that injury really set him back, and he never really could have the camp he wanted to really establish himself at that spot. So kudos to Beneday, man. He came out there and he earned some time. And I'm still a little concerned about his pass blocking, but he
Hmm.
was pretty good in the run game last week. The last game they played against the Raiders. So you may see the Bears. The Bears may really try and stick to the run, get that going, kind of get him all lathered up, right? Because if you get the offensive lineman going in the run game, it helps him out all over the place. So and look, Darnell Wright, if he's back, now as a play caller, all you have to do is worry about helping Benedict out once in a while, right?
Hmm.
Because with Wright, if he's on the right side, it's fine. Keep him on an island, no problem. He's got that locked down. So as a play caller, if you know all you have is the one area you got to help out, that helps him out quite a bit. So I'm excited to watch Benedict get some real good time against a pretty good defense.
What's the word on Darnell Wright and his status with that elbow?
Limited, last I saw. I mean, look, we saw him fight through an injury like last year or a couple years ago. So it's something that he's a tough player.
Hmm.
He finished that game that he got hurt in. I think it was more of a precaution thing where they shut him down, kind of make sure he had full range of motion. The fact that he was limited to practice is a good sign. Again, once that report comes out today, we'll know for sure. But I mean, if it's not him, it's going to be Asa Trapillo, right? The rookie out of Boston
Wow.
College, and he was decent. He had some moments against Max Crosby where he was embarrassed because
Mhm.
I mean Max Crosby is one of the best
I was gonna say
athletes.
that's Max Crosby though. How do you?
Yeah,
You could just do what you could do with him.
it's funny because like you look at Ozzy and like I mean he's not the greatest athlete, right? But he's a pretty good athlete. But against Crosby, he looked slow.
Yeah.
But that's because, like you said, it's Max Crosby. So I think I have right there and start.
Mm. Okay. Now, what's up with Colston Loveland? I heard that he was back participating in practice
Yeah,
as well with that hip. What do you know about him?
man. Before he got hurt, it seemed like he was going to be a focal point of the offense, right? They trying to kind of change things up. They went to him early in that game, and then of course he hurt his hip. And then against the Raiders, Cole Kmet got a lot of action. I think the Bears realized they want to really use those double tight end sets.
Hmm.
I mean, look, Cole Kmet is a much better player than what he showed against the Raiders. He had a bad game. He's first admitted. A couple drops, probably he definitely should have had a few of those. One was really a terrible drop, but getting Loveland back, letting him kind of move him around that offense. That he was drafted to be the mismatch guy, right? He's going to be
Right.
moved around, come out of the backfield, line up on the wing, split out wide. And look, he's a much better blocker than people think. So if he's back from that hip injury, which it seemed like he was,
Hmm.
that's going to really help this offense.
Now, Lester, the Twitter police, they really need you to speak on this because for some reason they don't take what I say at face value. They wait till they hear it from Lester. But I told people on Twitter, I said, hey, people are always sold, oh, we should have drafted Tyler Warren. If Tyler Warren was on the Bears right now, his numbers would look the same as Colston Loveland's numbers look right now. It's not that he's that much of a better player, he's just that far ahead. They just haven't found their niche on how to essentially use the tight end the right way in their offense as they get things figured out right now.
Yeah, you're spitting facts. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I think Warren's a really good player. I would have been fine with you as the pick,
Mhm,
instead of Loveland. But they're different players, right? With a guy like Loveland, he is more of your classic move guy. He's a joker tight end,
mhm,
the U tight end, whatever you want to call it. Whereas Warren is more inline, but Warren's a good athlete too. I mean, he can line up out of the backfield. We saw him throw a pass right for the Colts the other day because he's a former quarterback.
mhm,
So Warren would have been fun too to give Ben Johnson options there, but Loveland fits the mold of what Ben Johnson wants that tight end to do. He has an inline guy. He has Cole Kmet. And like I said, he had a bad game last time, but he's still a pretty good football player. So he thought Loveland would be the guy. Look, go back to what he had in Detroit, right? Sam Laporta. He's a move
mhm.
tight end. That's what Johnson wanted, and that's what Loveland is. Loveland was comp to Laporta a lot coming out of college. So it's a good fit for the offense. I think in time you'll see Loveland eventually kind of play more in line as well because he does have that skill set in him. It just takes a little more time to kind of build that strength up, get that core strength, where he needs to be for the NFL level. But yeah, Warren's a good player. That's what fans want to do. They always want to compare. Oh, we could have had this guy. We could have had Cam Scattaboo. We
Yeah.
could have had. Come on. It is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. These guys are 5 weeks into their NFL career. Let's
Mhm.
not go overboard of calling Loveland the bust and Warren the can't miss guy.
Right, 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 right. I'm glad you cleared that up, Lester, because they dog me out when I say things or not. You know what I'm saying? So they just need you to reiterate for me. I
See,
appreciate you.
I got you.
Now, now, obviously, what is our offense going to have to look like in order to go in and beat the Commanders Monday night? Just tell us a little bit about what you expect the game to look like, the play calls to look like as well.
Yeah, and the offensive side of thing, I think they are going to want to commit to the run. I think that's something they want to do. Um, Ben Johnson talked about it over the bye, how they did go back to the film and they realized they do have a run game problem. And he said it's not all the running backs. He said it's scheme up front. They're just not all cohesive right now. So I think that's something they're really going to focus on, during the bye and during this week of practice was get in the run game where they want. Look, Ben Johnson wants to run the ball.
Mhm,
Look at his numbers in Detroit. I mean, that offense was high powered offense, but they ran the ball a lot. They were like top 10 in running run pass ratio the whole time he was there. He understands everything's set up off the run. So if he can run the ball good, that's what he wants to do. They
mhm.
spent all that money on the interior O line. DeAndre Swift is, he is who he is, right?
He
Everyone
has good
knows.
games against the Commanders, though, for whatever reason, hurdling players and all that as well too. So,
Everyone knows what he is, right? He's a speed guy. He wants to bounce it outside. So I think possibly if Monungai is good to go, if Roshan Johnson is ready for some reps, maybe Travis Homer gets in there. But I
hmm
think you're going to see a little bit more run game this week, just because that's something they want to focus on. And look, that helps the play action. That helps keep Caleb Williams on schedule. If you can
hmm
kind of move the chains and you're not dealing with third and longs, right? If you run the ball good early, now you're in a good position to kind of keep the chains going. And look, the Bears have a pretty good third down team, both on offense
yeah,
and defense. So
yeah, one of the best in the league.
if the run game is clicking, that's going to help that out immensely.
Now, who does Caleb Williams have to be Monday night for them to go in and get the W?
I don't think he needs to be Superman, right? I think he needs to play his game.
hmm
He was bad last year in that game. Going back to, I mean, that's where he's from. He's from the DC area.
hmm
That's where he played his high school ball. And that was the number one versus number two, right? Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams. That was all the talk. And the Bears just did not step up to the plate. Caleb had a bad game early. He brought him back, right? He should have won that game, but we all know what happened there. The defense let him down. Flus didn't call a timeout. Tyree Stevenson was drawn with the fans. But as bad as Caleb was, he still brought him back at the end to kind of have a chance to win. So, just play within yourself, right? Like, don't try and do too much. I think he kind of got caught up in that last year. But look, year two, he's more experienced. I think Ben Johnson will have him calm down. And now in hindsight, we all realize how bad that offense was last year. Just the Shane Waldron experience was bad. There's a lot of weird stuff happening. The offense this year is in a much better place. The O line's in a better place. Caleb's in a better place. So I think he's going to be fine. I think just play within the system. Don't try and do too much. But there'll be a time, right, when something happens in the game where he has to put on the cape and do his thing. That's what Ben Johnson's always talked about. Run the offense when it's there, but when you got to be Superman,
hmm
do it for us. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Now, what do you kind of predict the final score to be around, and who do you put taking the W?
I've done, I think, three podcast slash radio spots this week, and all of them I've said the same thing. I think the Commanders win the game. I look, they run the ball so good. I mean,
Mhm,
the rookie Krosky Merritt Bill, right? I mean, 6.6 yards a carry he's averaging as
mhm,
a rookie, right? Jane Daniels is getting healthier. He's a good runner back there. They have a good running attack, a pretty good blocking O line, really good run scheme, and the Bears can't stop the run. So unless the Bears really self scouted and figured something out that they were doing wrong, I just can't see how they can stop the run. So I'm going to go 24-17 Washington.
But Austin Booker said he's coming back, and he said all of that not stopping and run that stops with him touching the field again, though.
Oh, and I hope so, man. I like Austin Booker, man. He has a good skill set. I love when he was drafted. He's a guy that looked long, really young, right? He was drafted as a redshirt sophomore, so like
Mhm,
he could still be in college. He's that young of a player. Good skill set. He had a nice array of moves last year, but he couldn't put them together. He had one
mhm,
go to, and that's what he seemed to do. He either speed or long arm. We saw in preseason just a few games he was putting things together, right? The spin move was there. He was doing a cross chop. I mean, there was other things he did to where you're like, man, maybe he's taking a step as a year two player. And then of course he gets hurt and he's put on the shelf. But if he can give this defense anything off the edge, I think that's going to be a plus, and it's really helped these guys out a lot.
yes, sir. As we get ready to close out this phenomenal episode, Lester, give me one player from the defense and one player from the special teams that you feel like has to step up and have a good game for the Bears to possibly scrape by with a win?
Last year we saw Torrey Taylor have a couple huge games where he was just phenomenal as a punter. He was special teams player of the week against, I think, against the Rams. Last year he had a couple other games where you could feel his presence on the field, and we haven't not seen that yet this year. He's been okay, nothing special, but I think if Torrey Taylor has a nice game punting, it's really going to help this team out because I think it's going to be a close game, right? I think they're going to want to run the ball both sides,
Hmm.
which usually when teams keep running the ball, that kind of keeps the score close, kind of keeps the clock moving. So it could come down to special teams. So I think special teams. Let's see Torrey Taylor have a big game here, and then as far as the defense, I think Kyler Gordon, right? I think he's a guy that's coming back again. He's going to be hyped up. He's going to want to go out there and play his best and kind of show what he means to this Dennis Allen defense.
Hmm.
And I think we're going to see him all over the field, right? Blitzing off the edge, playing nickel. We may see him, as an outside corner. We may even see him, back at safety in a few things. So it should be exciting to watch how this defense starts to come together, especially coming off the bye.
Hmm. Now, obviously, I said that was the last question. Here's the last question: what information do you have on Jaquan Brisker? Because that didn't even cross my mind when I saw him on the injury report. I was like, whoa, when did he get hurt? When did he go down?
Yeah, they listened with a quad. I heard some stuff last week about him, so I wasn't surprised to see him on the report. But
Hmm.
again, today's report's probably out. I mean, it's going to be out probably by the time this show airs. So make sure
Hmm.
you go check that out. But yeah, I mean, if he's not there, that's going to be hurt this defense. But look, Kevin Bayard's been playing good football too. So
Hmm.
I think again, they need their guys, right? They need everyone to be healthy in order to have a good chance to win this. But yeah, they need Brisker back there.
Sounds good. Lester, we greatly appreciate you having some time for us, young man. We'll be talking to you next week, young man, and obviously off record, me and you will do our talking that we do, okay?
Sounds like a plan. We'll talk.
Have yourself a great day, young man.
You too.
Bye bye.